What a lot of people tend to do on YouTube is go and watch a whole heap of videos on the various facets of charisma, whether it's body language, vocal intonation, mindset, framing, optimism, etc. The list goes on. And when they are plunged into a scenario or a situation in which they are totally unprepared for, whether it is meeting someone that they really admire or talking to a superior, having to talk to a room full of people, etc. At that moment, all of that training, all of that education that they've done, learning those things online by themselves, kind of just falls away because you're so overwhelmed, or these people are so overwhelmed in that moment that nothing is more important to them at that moment than just purely surviving in that moment. Way more so than trying to recall what they learned on YouTube. So the purpose of this video is to make us aware of the fact that you do not rise to the occasion. That is a huge misnomer. You actually fall to the level of your training. You fall to your baseline. And your training, or your baseline in this instance, can be very much improved through rigorous training over and over again through hobbies. Hobbies are such a fun way of training your body to instinctively act a certain way in any given moment. My first year of drama school, I had nowhere near the level of charisma that was sustainable in pressurized settings that I had when I walked out in my final year, my 4th year of drama school. Those were two very different levels that I had attained. And I say that to reinforce the fact that this is a learnable, trainable thing. You know, this is not something that you are born with. This is not a genetic thing. This can be learned. When I was giving 10-minute monologues, there was pages that I would open the script and I remember thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna learn all of these words? And when you went out on that stage on opening night, there was no room for error. You had to execute that flawlessly. And obviously afterwards, I had people come up and say to me, oh my God, how do you remember all of those lines, you know, a 2-hour, 3-hour play? The point of me saying that is it's trainable, it's a learnable skill. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go through 5 zones, which I've put into 5 different archetypes for you. And I'm going to go through 14 different hobbies that I've put into these 5 archetypes based on the kind of person that you are as an individual. Because when you're starting out, you want a hobby that builds this stress-proof charisma that feels naturally motivating to you, that is not draining, that is not something that you dread. So essentially, if you find your archetype, you find your hobbies. So let's start with the very first one, the sage. The sage is someone who values calm focus and deliberate practice. They value absolutely zero audience while they master a skill, and they find that repetitive drills or breath work in particular are very soothing or calming for them. So some hobbies that improve stress-proof charisma for sages include mindfulness, meditation. First, particularly mindfulness with visualization. Solo music practice, shadow boxing, and martial arts drills. For these reasons, while you are meditating, if you visualize staying calm in meetings, presentations, or just difficult conversations, your mind essentially learns to associate your focus and your calm presence with the high pressure, unpredictable scenario. Music actually engages your own breath and your own timing and posture. Practicing an instrument or you're singing, that develops your ability to handle mistakes gracefully and continue confidently regardless of the pressure that you're in. Shadow boxing is another great one. That actually raises your heart rate and your decision speed. Yet it requires loose shoulders and a steady gaze. And karate katas, tai chi or qigong, these are all flow sets that combine moving meditation with very precise body control. So for the sage, those sorts of hobbies train the baseline nervous system control so that when that pressure actually arrives, you already have an anchor of composure. So that's the sage. Number 2, tacticians. Tacticians, they thrive on quiet concentration and pattern spotting. They very much enjoy testing calm decision making against real stakes, but they prefer to compete without physical contact. And there's a couple of excellent hobbies that are perfect for tacticians, namely poker and chess. Both of those teach composure when stakes are high. They require emotional neutrality and micro expression management. And They teach you to project confidence, or actually deception, if need be, while the adrenaline rises. Number 3, the warrior. Warriors value bodily stress to feel structured and safe. They are very much kinesthetic learners who value a physical edge and clear rules and the ability to measure their progress as they're going. So for warriors, they can build their charisma under pressure with hobbies like high intensity training or competitive sports. And secondly, martial arts, particularly with live sparring. High intensity physical training, like we're talking things like rock climbing, CrossFit, or Spartan races. They keep you poised while you are physically stressed or exhausted. It boosts your determination, your focus, your grit, and it actually improves your body language in the process. It improves your controlled breathing under that pressure. These are all signs of a true warrior. Warriors can find these same benefits in live sparring with sports like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Krav Maga, boxing or Aikido. There are studies out there that have linked martial arts practice to higher resilience and lower anxiety. When you're practicing these sports, your fight or flight system actually learns to associate relaxed with powerful. I'll say that again, it learns that relaxed is powerful. Now that in itself is a very powerful bodily response that you want to have in situations of high pressure, high stress. Now, if you're not a warrior, then perhaps if you enjoy sharing your energy more with others and working with other people, well then perhaps you're an alchemist. Alchemists very much enjoy storytelling, humor or illusion, but in bite-sized doses. They prefer small rooms of people or practice partners over huge, massive stages. And they very much enjoy turning mistakes into playful moments. They're very good improvisers. So because of that, naturally, an alchemist will excel very well with things like improvisational theatre or stand-up comedy or magic performances. Improv requires very fast perspective taking. You've got to have active listening and instant storytelling. This is essentially training you to stay playful even when the adrenaline spikes. And performing magic requires composure, storytelling, very calm, misdirection. All of those things while the audience, the other person, tries to catch you messing up. And even when your tricks might fail, well, you learn how to pivot gracefully. And last but not least, the Harmoniser. These are people that are energized by group synchrony. Harmonisers like sharing rhythm or tactics with other people, and they very much enjoy clear roles that guide the interaction with the other people. They're unique because they very much feel safer expressing themselves with other people rather than in front of them. So if you're a Harmoniser, some hobbies for you. Ensemble music performance, partner dancing, or team sports that are fast-paced, and the obvious one, debating. If you're performing in a band, an orchestra, or a choir, you're actually marrying your expressiveness with strict time pressure, and you need to stay outwardly engaged even if you miss a note. If you're dancing with a partner, like in salsa or swing, that's a fast, face-to-face, lead and follow dynamic. That exercise with the other person, it forces you to project calm, read micro cues of the other person, and actually keep smiling even when you might be stepping on their toes. Sports like basketball or soccer even, those sorts of sports require, split-second decision-making under scorecard pressure. They train decisive communication, upbeat body posture, emotional regulation. And this is fascinating. Studies that have been done on team sport athletes have consistently found higher leadership ratings and a better conflict resolution compared to non-athletes. And for the most confident Harmonisers, things like public speaking, debating, or Toastmasters events, they force you to regulate voice, gestures, eye contact, and your pacing as you're going along. All of these hobbies that I've just mentioned, just find one. So find your archetype first of all, then from your archetype, find what hobby you find most easy to do. And a time will come when you are eventually placed in a pressure cooker scenario, when the heat is up and the pressure is on. But if you have trained and you have a good hobby accompanying you, then your body will know what to do.